Hi everyone, I made this custom e-ink screen notebook. Check it out. If I press this button, press enter, it starts flashing and the loading screen starts. Now I'll give a rundown of the design, the challenges, and my inspiration for this project, and I'll break down what specifically is happening in each frame and how all of this works. So real quick, what even is an e-ink screen? E-ink or electronic ink is totally different from regular LCD or OLED displays. Instead of using light to display stuff, it moves around tiny black and white particles using electric fields. It's kind of like a high-tech version of Etch-a-Sketch. So each pixel has a microcapsule filled with positively charged white particles and negatively charged black ones. When a charge is applied, either the black or white particles rise to the top, and that's what forms the new image. So the big upside, once the image is set, it doesn't use any power to stay on. That's why these screens are so power efficient, and they're perfect for something like a Kindle or the note-taking device like I made. But the trade-off is because it's physically moving particles instead of just like changing the colors like a regular screen, the refreshing rate is higher and it just takes more time. That's why it's slow, it's kind of dramatic, and the screen flickers whenever something updates. Okay, let's do a quick rundown of what exactly I'm trying to make. I was heavily inspired by the image on the bottom right. There are two parts to this. I have the main screen holder on top, and then I have the two arms on the bottom, and then the hinges would be in the middle, and then the e-ink screen would be in the middle of the two parts on the top, and the Bluetooth keyboard would be in the center, right there. So in this project, I have Raspberry Pi Zero, I have an e-ink screen, I have a keyboard, Bluetooth keyboard, I have two hinges, and then I have a 3D printed chassis, and then I have a battery which powers the Raspberry Pi, and there's a keyboard that it powers as well. Yep. This is the running software. As you can see, it displays the current notes, and you can add, edit, and move between them. Right now I have the ribbon cable Raspberry Pi, and then I have it connected to this keyboard, right? So if I press just enter right now, the screen refreshes and you enter, and just press enter again. You enter this note I had. It said, "This is a new note. Check it out. Today is May 23rd. Now, if I just type in, I don't know, have a good day, press enter, the screen refreshes, and it says it right there. Now, if I want to leave this part of the interface, what I would have to do next is just type in colon and then Q to quit, and then you press enter. Then it refreshes, and you're back to the main screen. And that's the software right now. And this is the current hardware setup as well. The next steps, ideally, would be to start thinking of how I want to format the case and how that would all look like combined together. So when designing this project, I started by measuring the 7.5-inch e-ink screen and figuring out how everything would physically come together. One of the first challenges was figuring out how to attach the keyboard So I came up with a design that uses two arms to wrap around the keyboard's top edge, basically letting me snap it into place. I also added a slope section at the top of those arms. That's where the e-ink screen holder mounts. In terms of the e-ink holder itself, I went through a few design iterations before landing on a version I was happy with. I had to think about cable management for the screen, space for the battery pack, and how I would mount the Raspberry Pi cleanly. Eventually, I split the holder into two interlocking pieces so I could slide the screen in and lock it into place more easily. That was the overall thought process behind the 3D modeling. There's definitely room for improvement, and I'll link the STL files in the description if you want to check them out. Before we get into the fabrication part of the project, I wanted to break down the cost of all the materials and everything else I used to make this project. So, the e-ink screen cost $48 in that range, plus shipping and everything. It'd be around $52. The Raspberry Pi is $20. The Raspberry Pi Zero is $20. The e-ink driver hat is $18. The micro SD card, that's 32 gigabytes, is around $8 to $10 as well. And the battery pack that I particularly have, that I searched up on eBay, is like $10. And the small hinges that I got from Ace Hardware were about $2 to $5. So you're looking at around $120, $130 to spend on this project. Not including the 3D printing that I did. It was available to me. So not including the 3D prints. The cost of all the raw materials to put this together is $130. So compared to other e-ink devices in the market, it's definitely cheaper, but it's not as well put together, I would say, compared to a Remarkable tablet. Those tablets are really, really cool. The technology is really nice. Their refresh rates really nice. It's really cool. Mine isn't cool like theirs is, but we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Yeah. I should also mention, I ended up breaking my screen, so that may have bumped up the cost by another $50. So assuming that the screen isn't broken, it's $130. But for my personal cost, total, $180. I should mention that. Okay, some good news. I got it inside. Bad news. I kind of ripped the cable. Ah. It works. Yes. We can turn them into dominoes, yeah. Riding the bench, drop the top and on my head away, yeah. She at it again. Alright guys, I'm testing my project over here, and I believe if I just press enter, it should start working. Yeah. Alright. This is the main screen. Now if I type S, press enter, I start to move up and down. I believe I move down when I press S. Press S again, you move down. Press S again, move down again. And say that's the note you want to open. You press enter. Right. Then you get to type. So let's say hello world. Press enter. It refreshes and it says hello world. Awesome. It works. Okay. Now in order to exit this part of the application, press :Q, press enter. Now you're back to the main page. Now if you want to delete or add a new note, all you press is N, press enter. The new note's created at the end. So just press enter. It's entirely blank. So I can just type editing new note and enter. Page refreshes and it appears there, editing new note. Now if I want to exit this, press this colon Q. Bam. Now say I want to delete this note, I press D, press enter, and it's gone. So yeah, the main functionality is there. And if you press Q, it quits the program. And now, colon Q. And then Q, enter. Right, now the program has ended. If you want to start it again, all you press is the up key, press enter, and you're back at it.